Hello, everyone. He's a narcissist, ruthless, unpredictable, impulsive, and seemingly devoid of any conscience. These words aren't just how figures in the criminal underworld describe him. They're also the very terms used by leading psychologists and psychiatrists with extensive expertise when profiling him. In the shadows of the underworld, he is the terror that haunts every gang. Uttering his name requires the utmost caution because even a single misplaced word could exact a fatal price. This fear is hardly surprising. The crimes he's suspected of committing are so chillingly brutal that they defy comprehension. His ties to one of the world's most powerful crime families, the Kinahans, only magnify his ominous reputation. But how did a minor criminal from Amsterdam rise to such prominence? Forging alliances with some of the most feared figures in global organized crime? This is the story of Naoufal Fassih, infamously known as Belly. Naoufal Fassih, nicknamed Belly for his large frame, was born on September 9, 1980 in Rotterdam, but grew up in the Amsterdam area. His early life was marked by constant turmoil. From 1991 to 1996, he attended Panare, a school in Amsterdam designed for troubled children. Yet even in such an environment, Fassih stood out. His uncontrollable fits of rage and aggressive behavior set him apart from his peers. Life was anything but easy for Fassih. These challenges seemed only to drive him deeper into darkness. From 2002 to 2012, he was incarcerated in a psychiatric facility for his involvement in a shocking robbery in Bijlmer, Amsterdam. The facility's aim was rehabilitation, to help him reintegrate into society. But for Fassih, it was the beginning of a transformation, one that pushed him further into the depths of the criminal world. Upon his release, rather than turning his life around, he emerged as a notorious figure in Amsterdam's criminal underworld, a man even the city's crime lords treaded lightly around. He forged alliances with both major and minor criminal gangs, cementing his place at the very top, while his name was unknown to the public. Within the criminal underworld, Fassih was a living legend, fearless and volatile. His unpredictable nature left those around him paralyzed with fear. By the end of 2012, Fassih's name finally appeared in Dutch headlines. It was linked to the infamous shooting in the Stadsliedenburg district, a shocking event that stemmed from an escalating power struggle among criminal factions. The intended target survived the attack, but was left scarred by the horrifying ordeal. When questioned by the police, he claimed that Fassih was one of the gunmen and painted an even more chilling picture of the man. "You underestimate him. He's filled cemeteries with his victims. When he strikes, he leaves no trace. There was one time he shot someone in the leg and went to prison for it. But when he got out, he went back and shot the same person in the exact same spot. Calling him insane doesn't even begin to describe him." Fassih wasn't just a criminal. He was a nightmare made flesh. Stories about him sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest. The December 2012 massacre in Stadsliedenburg seemed like a case destined to imprison Fassih for good. Yet once again, insufficient evidence allowed him to walk free, as though nothing had happened. But one fact remained indisputable. Fassih was merciless, with no limits to his cruelty. As if the chaos in Stadsliedenburg wasn't horrifying enough, his shadow loomed over an even bloodier episode, the assassination of Samir Scarface in August 2014. At the All-in-One Cafe in Benahavis, Spain, Samir became the target of an execution so swift and brutal it left no room for doubt about Fassih's unrelenting reign of terror. As before, there wasn't enough evidence to charge Fassih, but rumors in the underworld quickly pointed in his direction. This time, it wasn't just Samir who was eliminated. Another figure, Najib Himich, was also present at that meeting. After the incident, Najib disappeared mysteriously, as if he had vanished off the face of the earth. It was whispered that both men were handled under orders from Rico, the Chilean, with Fassih carrying out the deed. His ties to the Kinahan family became increasingly evident. Fassih wasn't just a pawn in the game. He was an integral piece in the sinister schemes of global crime lords. On November 5, 2015, in Diamond, a deadly trap was set for Peter R., a criminal hired by kingpins to take on the jobs no one else dared to touch. That day, Peter got into his mother's gray Opel Inthara. The moment he started the engine, a Volkswagen Golf sped toward him, and two men inside opened fire. In a panic, Peter slammed on the gas, driving onto the sidewalk, through bushes and finally into a small pond. As the car sank, Peter managed to escape and submerge himself in the icy water, waiting until the gunfire stopped. Shortly after, local residents discovered him and pulled him out of the water. Miraculously, Peter survived, despite being shot 6 times in the abdomen. The investigation in the following days quickly identified 3 main suspects: Karim S., Kaio C., and Atif M. Yet as the puzzle pieces fell into place, a familiar name surfaced: Fassih. Police uncovered encrypted PGP messages between Fassih and Atif M, revealing his rage when he learned the assassination attempt had failed. Fassih asked, "Did the police find the getaway car? Why wasn't the car burned in the garage? You could have torched it before the cops got to it, couldn't you?" Atif M responded with a fearful excuse. "We couldn't burn the car immediately. We didn't have another vehicle to switch to, so we still needed it afterward. I wasn't trying to go against you. We discussed everything. We wiped the car down with ammonia, just hoping that dog disappears." This explanation did nothing to quell Fassih's fury. The exact reason he wanted to deal with Atif remains a mystery. But, as always, it seemed likely he was simply carrying out orders from someone even more ruthless. Step by step, crime by crime, Fassih not only frustrated law enforcement, but also instilled fear within the criminal underworld itself. For Fassih, no failure was forgiven, and his every action left a lasting mark in the shadows. He wasn't just a criminal. He was the embodiment of unrestrained brutality. As if his previous atrocities weren't enough to cement his terrifying reputation, Fassih was also suspected of involvement in a complex and mysterious assassination: the murder of Ali Mohammed in Almere, the Netherlands. But this was no ordinary killing. Ali Mohammed was an alias. His real name was Muthaned Riza Khaleh, a man sentenced to death by the Iranian government. He had been accused of orchestrating the largest bombing in Iran's history on June 28, 1981, which claimed 73 lives. Why would Fassih, a criminal rooted in the Dutch underworld, target someone like Mohammed? To this day, the answer remains an enigma. Some speculate that this was an act of revenge orchestrated by the Iranian government against someone they saw as a traitor. The Dutch Ministry of Justice asserted that Fassih acted as a middleman in this assassination. The truth began to unravel when servers in Canada, used to send encrypted messages, were seized by law enforcement. On November 15, 2015, Fassih sent a message to Randall D., a notorious figure in Amsterdam's underworld, saying, "I've got a sweet job for you." Randall D. was no stranger to the game, having participated in numerous assassinations. He was a chilling presence in the world of organized crime. Fassih continued to provide detailed instructions through encrypted messages. The target is a Turkish guy in Almere, around 40 years old, driving a white van. I don't even know why he needs to sleep. And honestly, you don't care. He leave for work at 7 a.m., but Fassih didn't stop at supplying information. He also ordered Randall to prepare a safe house in Almere where the shooters could hide after completing their mission. However, the plan encountered a major setback. Just 10 days later, Randall D. was arrested for his involvement in the assassination of Lucas Boom, a notorious criminal in Amsterdam and a trusted associate of Willem Holleder, a name infamous in the Dutch underworld. Unwilling to let the plan falter, Fassih quickly found replacements. Anur A. and Morio M. were tasked with the job, and he didn't hesitate. On the morning of December 15, 2015, in a matter of moments, Mohammad Reza Kalahi Samadi, a man who had spent years fleeing the shadow of Iran, was gunned down right at his doorstep. The Dutch Intelligence and Security Service, AIVD, had long suspected that this assassination was tied to the Iranian government. Yet, to this day, there isn't enough evidence to confirm the theory. Was this part of a nation's revenge plot, or merely another link in the complex web of crime that Fassih so masterfully orchestrated? The question remains unanswered. What do you think? As for Fassih, with every bloody murder, he vanished like a ghost. Over time, he rose to prominence as a kingpin in drug-related criminal operations. Urk, a small, peaceful town in the Netherlands, was once known for its long history of hard-working fishermen setting out to sea. Its boats glided across the waves, bringing back fresh catches that sustained countless families. But beneath this serene facade, those seemingly innocent fishing boats became ideal tools for a shadowy operation: cocaine smuggling. And the mastermind behind turning these boats into a crucial part of Europe's most sophisticated smuggling route was none other than Fassih. Encrypted PGP messages seized by the authorities revealed the entire mechanism of the smuggling operation. Photographs of cocaine bricks, price negotiations, and transportation plans were exchanged between Fassih and his associates. Alongside two other key figures, Fassih maintained complete control over this highly lucrative route. The smuggling route began in South America, where cocaine bricks were loaded onto massive cargo ships. But these weren't ordinary shipments. These vessels carried special passengers, usually accomplices from Montenegro. Their role was to monitor the ship's location and share updates with fishermen waiting offshore in the Netherlands. Once the ship reached a designated spot, the accomplices would throw packages of cocaine overboard. The dark expanse of the open sea provided the perfect cover. Under the dim light of the night sky, the fishermen would navigate their boats to the drop point, retrieve the packages, and bring them safely back to port. One encrypted message from an accomplice detailed the method. Everything is packed in black duffel bags, each weighing 30 kilograms. A 30-liter plastic canister is attached to each bag to keep it afloat. 4 waterproof lights are secured to the bags to ensure no mishaps. This method, while simple, was remarkably effective, allowing the smuggling route to operate smoothly for 2 years and generate immense profits. But no crime goes undetected forever. The Dutch police's surveillance team began monitoring the group closely. They silently tracked 3 key members of the operation: Mohammed S., Lendert R., and Johannes N. The trio's frequent meetings at a secluded parking lot only heightened investigators' suspicions. The police were convinced a major operation is underway. Instead of acting prematurely, they exercised patience, closely following the group's every move. They waited for the right moment to dismantle the entire smuggling network. Yet, despite their efforts, results remained elusive. The Garda raid. On April 6, 2016, Garda conducted a raid as part of their investigation into the Kinahan gang. When Fassih opened the door to the apartment being searched, the police had no idea who he was. However, they suspected he had ties to the Kinahan gang, and the search of his apartment only deepened their suspicions. He was found in possession of a fake Dutch passport and a forged Belgian ID card. In addition to expensive watches he had on him, Fassih wore sneakers worth approximately £800 and carried over £13,000 in cash. Initially, he gave police a fake name and claimed he was in Ireland to visit his girlfriend. But as further checks were carried out, including a scan of international fingerprint databases, his true identity was revealed. The authorities also discovered that Fassih was wanted by Dutch police for his involvement in the attack on Peter R. de Vries. Fassih had been in Ireland for 6 to 9 months before being caught. The High Court in Dublin was informed that he was wanted in the Netherlands to face charges of attempted murder, assault, possession of false documents, and money laundering. He was also accused of money laundering in Ireland. Justice Aileen Donnelly ordered that Fassih be extradited to the Netherlands under a European arrest warrant. Evidence implicating Fassih had been recovered from a BlackBerry device belonging to one of the men involved in the shooting of Peter R. de Vries. This attack was part of the bloody gang wars plaguing the Netherlands. Dutch police had managed to decrypt the encrypted messages on the BlackBerry, including exchanges in which Fassih criticized the would-be assassins for failing to kill Peter R. These messages, along with others previously mentioned, provided damning evidence. Additional proof showed that Fassih had paid £8,000 to carry out the shooting, as revealed in a wiretapped conversation recorded in a car in the Netherlands. Ultimately, the drug lord and gangster Naoufal Fassih was sentenced to 18 years in prison in the Netherlands after being convicted in 2018 for his role in the attempted murder of Peter R. de Vries and his involvement in the assassination of Ali Mohammed. Electronic evidence showed that Fassih coordinated and ordered these attacks, including paying assassins for hire. In addition to these convictions, Fassih faced further charges related to other murders and gang activities. Following his arrest in Dublin in 2016, he was extradited to the Netherlands. where the evidence led to his criminal sentences. He continues to face ongoing legal proceedings, with Dutch authorities investigating additional allegations. It seems likely that Fassih may spend the rest of his life behind bars. What do you think made Naoufal Fassih one of the most feared crime bosses in the Netherlands? Was it his organizational skills or sheer audacity? If you were the one passing judgment, do you think an 18-year sentence is enough to serve as a deterrent? Ireland, the land of legends and the birthplace of one of the largest criminal organizations in the world, the Kinahan cartel, a name synonymous with dramatic and dark dealings. A gang that began with a father's hands and now his sons continue to rule this bloody empire. The story of Ireland's Kinahan crime syndicate began in the heart of Dublin, with none other than Christopher Vincent Kinahan, also known as Dapper Don, a figure feared in the underworld for his sharp mind and dangerous ambitions. In 1986, Christie was arrested in connection with a heroin shipment worth £117,000, a staggering amount at the time. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison, but could prison bars really cage Christie's ambition and intellect? Wrong. Behind bars, Christie didn't just wait for his freedom. He used that time to earn 2 university degrees and even turned down an early release to complete them, and that wasn't all. He mastered both Spanish and Dutch, further expanding his international influence in the underworld. With the ability to speak 5 languages, Christie easily built a powerful network that transcended Ireland's borders. But what's remarkable is that Christie wasn't born into the shadows. He came from a middle-class family and was educated at one of Ireland's most prestigious schools. However, after his first run-in with the law in the 1980s, Christie took a path of no return. The path to crime. His ambition didn't stop at small-time smuggling. He had grand plans for a vast smuggling empire. Christie's 2 sons, Daniel Kinahan and Christie Jr., had no choice but to follow in their father's footsteps. They were quickly drawn into the whirlwind of power and violence that consumed the cartel. Daniel took charge of daily operations, while Christie Jr. handled the finances. In recent years, Daniel has become the face of the Kinahan cartel. Daniel wasn't just a shadowy figure in the underworld, he also worked hard to craft a public image as a prominent sports promoter. In 2012, he founded MGM, later renamed MTK Global. However, a legal dispute with MGM Grand Resort in Las Vegas forced him to change the name. Daniel then turned MTK Global into one of the leading management and event organizations for boxing and mixed martial arts. At one point, Daniel signed a contract with world heavyweight boxing champion Tyson Fury. Despite his efforts to clean up his image through sports, but the dark cloud of the underworld followed him. Because of this, he was forced to step back from the company, but even then Daniel's name continued to be mentioned in the boxing world. Tyson Fury publicly thanked Daniel for helping arrange the fight between him and Anthony Joshua in 2020. However, MTK Global couldn't escape the collapse brought on by Daniel's undeniable ties to the cartel, and by April 2022, the company had officially shut down. In the chaotic underworld, gang conflicts are inevitable, but the feud between the Kinahan family and the Hutch gang took violence to a new level. Blood spilled without end, and every move carried the price of a life. This was a bloody war with events erupting like wildfire, scorching both sides, and it all began on one fateful morning. At around 11:30 a.m. on September 24th, 2015, Gary Hutch, the nephew of notorious gang leader Gerard "Jerry" Hutch, also known as the Monk, was shot dead in Costa del Sol by none other than the Kinahan cartel. The Monk, leader of the Hutch gang, was a terrifying figure in the criminal underworld with a cold hand and a strategic mind. Gary had once been a trusted ally of Daniel Kinahan, but betrayal over money and suspicions that Gary was spying for Spanish police led Daniel to act mercilessly, ending Gary's life. It was a flawless execution, leaving no trace and igniting a fire of hatred. Not long after Gary's death, the bloodshed continued. On October 9th, Derek Hutch, Gary's brother, was brutally attacked in Mountjoy prison. The Kinahan gang had placed a €10,000 bounty on his head, but Derek miraculously survived the savage assassination attempt. Then on February 5th, 2016, the real war broke out when the Hutch gang retaliated in an event that shocked all of Dublin. At the Regency Hotel, during a weigh-in for the WBO boxing match, 5 masked men disguised as police stormed in and opened fire. David Byrne, a close associate of the Kinahan gang, was left dead in a pool of blood while Sean McGovern was seriously injured. Daniel Kinahan, the main target, managed to escape just before the hail of bullets began. Less than 3 days later, Eddie Hutch Sr., the monk's brother, was shot dead in his own home in Dublin. A brutal revenge for David Byrne's death. The nightmare didn't end there. On March 23rd, Noel King's Eyes Duggan, an ally of the monk, was killed in his car. Violence escalated relentlessly, and soon, innocent people began falling victim as well. On April 14th, Martin O'Rourke, an innocent man, was shot dead after being mistakenly identified. And as if this hatred knew no bounds, just 11 days later, Michael Barr, another innocent mistaken identity, was killed by the Kinahan gang. The deaths kept coming like a chain reaction that couldn't be stopped. By May 24th, Gareth Hutch, Gary's cousin, was murdered near his home, and the war continued with bloody and calculated assassinations. On July 1st, David Douglas became another victim. Unable to reach the monk, the Kinahan gang decided to target all those close to him, sending them one by one to the grave, just as they did to the monk's close friend, Noel Kerwin, on December 22nd. This bloodbath showed no signs of stopping as the Hutch gang retaliated by killing Michael Keogh, an associate of the Kinahan gang. On May 31st, 2017, the Kinahans were quick to respond, avenging this by killing Kane Kerwin, Noel Kerwin's son, in December 2017. Like a horror novel, this story spread across Dublin streets. On January 20th, 2018, Derek Coakley Hutch, the monk's nephew, was murdered while sitting in his car. Soon after Derek's funeral, the Kinahan gang struck again, killing Jason Molyneux, who had just returned from the funeral, pushing the conflict to its peak of hatred. After a brief lull, violence erupted again on December 22nd, 2018, when Eric Fowler, a figure linked to the Kinahan gang, was shot dead at the entrance of his home. This was one of the final acts in this long-running feud, which claimed the lives of at least 18 people, most of them from the monk's side. In the aftermath, Garda police launched multiple major crackdowns, arresting over 70 members of the Kinahan cartel across Ireland, the UK, and Spain, forcing the Kinahan gang into hiding. But as darkness engulfed the Hutch gang, the Kinahan cartel only grew stronger, rising to become part of a super cartel, a colossal organization that controlled a vast portion of Europe's drug market. The battle between the Kinahans and the Hutches was a deadly game of chess, where blood and power were the pieces. And when night fell, only the strongest would survive. This drug alliance was unlike any other before it, bold and ambitious. Instead of waging a death match for the throne, the most powerful kingpins decided to combine their strength, thus giving birth to a monstrous super cartel. Operating from Dubai, a haven for criminals, they moved like hidden beasts, each one possessing distinct skills and vision. When united, their power became a nightmare not just for the police, but for anyone who dared challenge them. Living in the luxury of Dubai, these crime lords spent money like royalty. $1 million cars, dazzling diamonds, and lavish lifestyles were only sustained by the enormous profits from tons of cocaine flowing through their hands, feeding Europe's drug trade. Dubai, a land with no extradition treaty, had become the ideal refuge for criminals seemingly untouchable. But then the unthinkable happened. International pressure forced Dubai authorities to take action. Once untouchable figures like Imperiali, Eden G, and Ridwan Taghi were arrested right in Dubai. Faces that had once been invincible now crumbled before the law, none of them understanding how it all unraveled. Richard R. was even captured back in his home country of Chile, while Imperiali, who once knew no fear, began cooperating with Italian police, turning into an informant. The only stroke of luck in this legal whirlwind fell upon Eden G, as Dubai police were forced to release him because the Netherlands didn't send the extradition papers in time. Meanwhile, Taghi's trial in the Netherlands has yet to conclude, but with everything that's happened, his future seems bleak, likely facing a life sentence. As everything around him collapsed, Daniel Kinahan, the last of the super cartel, began to sense the looming danger. Rumors circulated that he was looking for a way out of Dubai, aiming for a distant land beyond the reach of U.S. authorities. Qatar or Kazakhstan. nations that could become his new safe havens, were now his targets. Daniel had visited Kazakhstan multiple times, and his last public appearance was in July 2019 at a lavish charity event in Astana. There, he spent $140,000 to purchase a signed Virgil van Dijk soccer ball from the Champions League final. However, as rumors spread, the Kazakh embassy quickly denied any involvement and pledged to cooperate with international investigations. So, Daniel remained on the run, searching for a new refuge. Christy Jr., Daniel's brother, found himself in a similar situation. Meanwhile, their father, Christy Sr., is believed to be living in Zimbabwe on a temporary visa. However, Zimbabwean authorities have also refused to grant him permanent residency, fearing their country might become the new center of his notorious smuggling empire. According to leaked documents from the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, ICJ, Christy Sr. was once involved in a shocking plot. The plan to purchase 9 de Havilland Canada DC-5 Buffalo aircraft from the Egyptian Air Force. These planes, with their ability to land on short runways, would have been ideal for transporting cocaine, allowing him to expand his empire further into Africa. Currently, he's using ambulance planes as a front to smuggle drugs, utilizing secret airstrips and even bribing officials to control strategic routes into Europe. With all their bold and cunning moves, the Kinahan cartel has become the second most powerful force after the Colombian cartels in controlling Africa's lucrative cocaine corridor. The game isn't over yet, and their story continues to unfold in the shadows, where every move is fraught with danger and scheming. Will Christy find permanent refuge in Zimbabwe, or will the cartel continue to hide in secrecy? One thing is certain: the whereabouts of the Kinahan family remain a major mystery, and that's how they survive. Quietly, yet never surrendering. If there is one organization more eager to hunt the Kinahan family than anyone else, it's the U.S. Department of State. Since April 2022, Daniel, Christy Sr. and Christy Jr. have been placed on an urgent wanted list. And this isn't just a routine manhunt. They've put up a $5 million reward for any information leading to the arrest of these kingpins or the dismantling of their financial network. $5 million, a staggering sum enough to shake even the most loyal in the underworld. As soon as the reward was announced, Garda, Ireland's national police force, received an influx of intelligence, both domestic and international. Those in the shadows began to betray each other. Now Garda claims they are tightening the noose around the Kinahan cartel. The plan is in motion, and the end of this criminal empire is only a matter of time. But the question remains: is Garda truly nearing the point of dismantling the cartel, or is this a psychological game meant to scare Kinahan into lowering his guard? Who will be the first to crack under pressure and give up valuable information in exchange for the massive reward? In this dark underworld, can loyalty withstand the temptation of millions of dollars? The U.S. government didn't stop there. They took an even harsher approach, banning entry for at least 600 individuals linked to the Kinahan cartel. A move aimed at preventing any criminals from setting foot on U.S. soil. The crackdown on encrypted systems has uncovered a series of criminal cases, exposing numerous shady connections within the international crime network. Now Kinahan is the only gang left standing from the once powerful super cartel. The other members have been captured or are living in hiding, awaiting their inevitable date, with justice facing decades of prison time. The global manhunt is accelerating, and with the determination of law enforcement agencies, it seems only a matter of time before the Kinahan cartel collapses entirely. But until that day comes, they continue to run their drug empire, resilient amid the legal storms, holding on to their power in a blood-soaked world of betrayal. Why or why not? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you, and see you in the next video.